Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden here, and I'm delighted to say that today I'm joined by Stuart Williams-Philp, who works at Liberty and is on the fragrance floor as a sales specialist. And Stuart describes himself as a Liberty veteran and a retail survivor. Hello, Stuart. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm really good. Look, thank you so much for
You're
doing
very
this
welcome.
morning. Now, our relationship, we met in the store a few years ago, but I think I first came across your Instagram channel, which is Stu Be Blessed. And I think I saw a post that just had this beautifully curated, there was like a shelf of, and there were brands that I loved and some that I didn't know. And I thought, oh God, this man has immaculate.
The one behind me.
Yeah, look, some of those. I think I remember seeing
curiosities.
there was I'm sure it was a long time ago, but I'm sure there was some Labo, there might have been some Wilhelm, there was some really lovely things. And so I started following your channel and then realized you worked, quite quickly realized you worked at Liberty. And then, cause it's not that far from me, I popped along and said hello one time. So we've sort of had fleeting meetings, as they say, in Liberty. And but I've always really enjoyed seeing you. I love your content, and I think more than anything, I'm really interested in finding out about you and your work and how physical retail is these days. And you're in one of the absolute, iconic flagship retail stores that sell fragrance in the world. And I've been lucky enough to do some things with Liberty. So, it'd be great to get you on the podcast and find out about all those things. And I suppose the first place to start would be, what was your original interest in fragrance and beauty? And did it come from home, or were you interested in it at quite a young age?
I think I've always loved beautiful things. I'm like a magpie. I love sparkle. I love anything that's pretty. And I think the first person that kind of influenced that was my grandmother.
Really?
She always smelled amazing.
Did she have a great collection of fragrances?
Oh, she did. Yeah. And but she just always smelled great. Her house smelled great. Everything. So yeah, I think she was my main kind of my original inspiration, but also nature. I love the sense in nature, and I'm blessed that my parents always had an amazing garden, which was always very fragrant. So I think that also kind of drew me. I love nature, so it's another thing, that things that smell great. Yeah.
And did your grandmother, did she encourage your interest as well? Did she sort of show you some of her products
she would spritz me. She did spritz me, but not really. I think it was more I would see her, and she was quite an iconic woman, really. In my life. Yeah.
And did you grow up because you're in West London now, Stuart? Did you grow up in that part of the world?
I grew up in Surrey, originally in a little village called Old Woking, just outside Woking.
Yes.
And I moved to London when I was in my early 20s, I think. Yeah, it was. I first was in Islington, then South London, and now Richmond. So yeah. I've moved about.
I grew up in Camberley, so not a million miles away.
Not far. That's not far from us at all. Yeah,
where you were in Woking. So I know that part of the world. And when you came to London, was retail the first thing you got into? What were you doing?
My first ever job was retail. It was an easy thing to step in. I've never been career minded. I never really wanted the office job, although I did have a very small stint in an office. It lasted 3 weeks, and it was quite enough. But I
think people. I was the same. I didn't last very long. It wasn't for me.
It was the mentality. It was just very different, and I love people.
Yeah.
I like talking. I love. It's just the interaction with people is really important to me. So it seemed like a natural thing. My dad actually got me my first job in a builder's merchant.
Really?
Which, yes, I kid you not.
I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah, it was actually a tile shop, and it was just, I just loved it, actually, even from then. So I can tile a wall if anyone ever needs a tile.
I'll tell you what, it's a useful skill, isn't it? It's
really
definitely a useful skill. And from then, was Liberty, have you been there forever? I've been
at Liberty for 24 years. I took a year out. So 24 years I've been there, but it doesn't feel like it though, strangely. But it's a long time when you say it out loud, but it doesn't feel like I've been there that long. and it's an amazing place. I mean, I knew Liberty from before,
Yes.
visiting it and family visits and stuff. But it was, to actually work there. It was. I think I started on a temporary contract. I was like a Christmas temp or something, and ended up staying. Been there ever since. So
And
yeah.
have you worked in lots of different departments, Stuart? Or
Yeah, I started in menswear.
did you?
In the men's contemporary, which was then in the basement when it was on Regent Street. There were 3 stories
Yeah.
of menswear from the Regent Street store. So I started there. I lasted there a few years, then moved over to Gift, and then I became an account manager for L'Artisan, who
Oh,
were
fabulous.
within Liberty,
Yeah.
and they had their own account there. So I was their account manager. Yeah, no, it seemed like a natural progression to move into fragrance. So
Yeah.
yeah, but my passion with fragrance started with massage. I actually studied massage
Did
and
you?
finding out about how we react with smells, what they do. I mean, the power of scent is amazing, really, when you think about it. But yeah, so massage, I got into massage and the oils and everything and how they
Yeah.
work and how they affect us. And then realized I didn't like touching people. So it kind of put a damper on that one.
Yeah, the sort of the aromatherapeutic
Yeah,
thing is a little bit different, isn't it? But
it really is.
and I think what when you think about all those years in Liberty, do you have a certain philosophy on customer service? I mean, it's a store that's renowned for having excellent taste and the way it curates its brands, but it's also about its fantastic staff, of which you were one of
Well,
the
I think
best. How do you approach that?
it's quite old. I mean, I'm quite old school in that I've been doing it for such a long time. But I think Liberty is quite different. It's not. We don't push. We're not pushy.
Yeah,
It's very relaxed. If people need our help, we're there. But we don't. We'll say hello. But that's down. If the customer needs us, we're there. But we don't spritz. We don't make a move, if you will, because I think there's nothing worse than being jumped on by several sales associates
yeah,
on a visit to a store. So it's very relaxed in Liberty. And the people they get in as well, I mean, everybody in each of the rooms knows their stuff.
yeah,
They have a passion for what they're
yeah.
doing. They have a passion for the product. It's very different. And there's no other beauty hall, I don't think, in London, where the girls actually help out and give advice on each other's products. If they don't think they can help you, they'll hand you to another
Send you to
counter.
someone
I don't
else.
think you get anywhere else. It's quite amazing, really. It's a family. I think it
Yes.
still has that family vibe.
And does it? We've talked before on the podcast about in some retailers the distributors will source their own staff and put them on the counters. There'll
Mm.
be a certain number of brands that will have a salesperson, I suppose. Does that not happen at all in Liberty? Are all the sales team
No,
employed by Liberty?
no. There are concessions. Obviously,
Yeah,
most of the beauty brands are concession based, so they have
yeah,
their own staff, which
right.
is why I think it's beautiful that they actually do help out,
Yeah,
or will actually suggest something. They're not just close to their own brand. And even in our room, we're in the fragrance boudoir, as I call it, which is where we are. We represent all the brands. So we're impartial. We're literally there just to show you what's available for you. When the person comes in to show you all the products within our area. But then we have the new fragrance area downstairs, which is concession run.
right.
They are their own counters, but they also have impartial sales associates down there too, or concierges as they're called. Yeah,
Concierge, yeah, that's right.
concierge. Yeah,
Yeah, so
very
for
beautiful
people
down
who
there.
are unfamiliar, I think last year there was this new fragrance fragrance
Fragrance lounge.
lounge,
Yeah,
yeah, in the lower ground. But you work on the ground floor, and I think
on
what
the
you
ground
said
in the
in
original
the original boudoir.
fragrance room. Yeah, boudoir. Yeah,
Um,
all the
but I think
gold and the gilt.
yeah, exactly. And what you said about the impartiality, I think that's such a fantastic USP for Liberty, in that lots of people will come into a store and need some help and need some guidance. And I think to have someone who can look across the whole portfolio of brands and suggest just based on your personality or your preferences, and that isn't
Mm.
always the case, is it? So I think
No,
it's something very special about Liberty with that.
no, I agree. It's such and that was how it was originally set up. That's what the fragrance boudoir was all about. That people could come in tell us what it is that they're looking for, and we would just guide them around the different brands. And a lot of the brands that we have are so small and niche and unique that a lot of people have never even heard of them. So we still get a lot of people come in and say, "I've never heard of half these brands," and that's the beauty of it. You're going to go away with something that a lot of people won't know or recognize or have heard of, really. But we're so blessed.
Well, exactly, and like you say, that they're, we all, if we look in the beauty monthlies or the magazines or the newspapers, you'll see where the marketing goes on the big brands, and we're all familiar with them and the clotheslines they have and everything else. But you're right, there's a whole world of niche and independent fragrance of which Liberty champions, where you might not necessarily have come across them. Certainly mightn't have seen them on the high street chemists or in some of the local department stores, but you will stock some brands, and often Liberty are the first to take a chance, aren't they, on some brands?
I mean, we've always pioneered the independent as a store, and that's not just in the fragrance room, that's as a store. We used to have an open house where we would encourage young, not necessarily British, but British designers or people who were creating something, had something to show, and we'd showcase them. So we used to pick the favorites, basically, or the ones we thought we could work with, and launch them within Liberty. And some of them went on to do great things. It's I don't think we do it now, but it was a real pioneering thing, I think, that Liberty did back then.
And I suppose, in the time that you've been in retail and in fragrance retail particularly, the landscape's changed a great deal, hasn't it? Where I mean, even I only started writing and getting more involved 4 or 5 years ago, but even in that time, the acceleration of people being much more engaged and interested with some of these niche brands, and I suppose the proliferation, and there's so many more now, and it feels some days like there's new launches almost every day. I mean, have you seen a real change where I suppose there would have been less brands earlier on, but also do you think there's more customer interest in your area now?
Very much so, and it's younger as well. I mean, we get groups of teenage boys, especially, coming in who've done the research. They know more about half these brands than we do, and they come around and they really are aware. And it's like from beauty bloggers and
TikTok.
There's one, I can't remember his name, but they all mention him. And
TJ?
I did look.
Is it TJ?
Could be.
Or
I'm terrible at
Jeremy Fragrance.
That sounds more like it, actually. But so they see these and they just come in and they're reviewing them. They're doing little reviews themselves. I mean, they don't always buy, bless them. At that age, I don't suppose you've always got that kind of. Well, you'd be amazed actually what they do.
They're not cheap, are they? If someone's going to be dropping £200 or £300 on a fragrance, goodness.
I know, but it's quite fabulous. I think it's a much younger kind of clientele now, and the awareness, and men in particular, I find, are much more aware. Gone are the days, like at Christmas when they were gifting and stuff, they would rush in just to buy anything pink and fluffy. That's gone. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're getting. They know, they've done the research. It's I suppose in one way, thank God for social media and technology.
I think you're right. I think it's, people seem much more engaged and informed about the sector now, and it's a good thing. I think once upon a time, even in these 4 or 5 years that I've been writing about it and talking about it, I think there's been so much more information, probably from social media, but almost less stigma. We should never have felt stigma about going into fragrance halls anyway, but I think men just feel, I don't know, somehow it feels that men are a bit more comfortable shopping, using the vocabulary, and you must have seen that.
No, very much so. I mean, the whole spectrum of beauty now is much more open.
Yes.
And men are much more open to exploring it and to using products. I mean, obviously, we still get the old school that come and say, I'm looking for a men's cologne.
Yeah, and what aftershaves have you got?
Yeah, well, I'm looking for a men's cologne. Where are they? And I said, well, and then you have to explain that most of them are now unisex or genderful, and they do. But thankfully, we do have some that are still old school men's fragrances. But even when they say cologne, and we say they don't really exist anymore in cologne, it's parfum. No, the face it gets quite comical sometimes. It's you have to respect that. That's that's just part of growing up, isn't it? And time's gone by, But at least they're out there, they're trying, and they'll go out of that door with something. So Yeah.
I suppose it's your job to make everyone feel
To
comfortable and
educate.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's we're not there to look down on people or, you know, it's at the end of the day, we're there to sell them a product. And we want them to go out with that purple bag. So, but you want to make it as pleasurable as you possibly can while they are there. So, yeah.
And it's such a, you know, if we can't find joy and excitement and happiness in fragrance, then it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Because it's such a, it's a product that brings real pleasure.
No, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Makes me happy.
Me
sure.
too. Me too. Well, we're going to talk a bit more about Liberty and your work in a second. But as always on the podcast, I love to find out about the kind of products that you use in your morning and evening routine, Stuart. And I've, you know, the access you have, my goodness, at Liberty, and I'm sure you get to try lots of things. And I've seen on Stu Be Blessed on your channel, you know, some of the products that you use. So I wondered, do you have quite a sort of tight edit of regular products, or do you like to try lots of different things?
I love to play with things, but I'm not a faffer. I can't be doing with faffing in the morning I never faff. So I have like one skincare. I will have one skincare product, and for me, I'll show you. Where is it? Augustinus, which is the rich cream, and I swear by this. I mean, the idea of this when it was originally launched was that you didn't need anything else. You didn't have to have a serum. You didn't have to have anything added to it. It was
a moisturizer, Stuart?
Yeah, it's basically, it's called the Rich Cream, and it's got everything in there basically. So I love it, and it has the. I mean, when I'm a bit of a sun worshipper, so over the years I've had a lot of what used to be freckles is now considered sun damage. But this has actually helped with that. Yeah.
Oh, does it? It actually.
I see visible results, and so for me, no faff, no nonsense. So that for me is my have to have. But I also love a scrub. I like an exfoliator. Yeah, I love it. At least twice a week. I love it. So at the moment I use Aesop. They stopped doing they used to have one that was like particles that you added to a cleanser. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. And sadly, they don't do it anymore. But they've just launched this one, which I'm loving. I'm using this as well, but I do love. So if any of your listeners know of a really good exfoliator, or let me know.
Oh, yeah. I love. Drop you a line.
Yeah,
and is that one that you leave on for a little while, look like a mask, or just literally scrub and take off?
It's not a mask, so it's just really rub it in and then shower it off.
And get it off.
I leave it for a little while, yeah. And I've also just started using, last few years, a SPF.
Right. Which one's that?
This one is ultraviolet. They do several different ones to suit your skin type. But I use the factor 50. And it's just really, it's something I think now we really kind of have to, in day-to-day life, doesn't even have to be sunny.
I agree.
It's the pollution really that gets us, I think. So I've started using this over the past few years. And again, I've noticed a difference. I've noticed, especially when you wash of an evening, there seems to be less build up on the face. So yeah, I've been using one of those. So yeah, but I'm to the basics. But I do faff. I do play with stuff as well.
And what about shaving and grooming and beard care? We've got a little bit. Looks like I can see Stuart on screen. His is slightly fuller than mine. What do you do with that?
Well, I have a young man who lives just down the road.
Lovely.
I was actually supposed to go this morning,
but
I had to cancel.
Thank you for doing this.
He just does it, tightens it up a little bit and neatens it all up. But I use the Aesop, the facial cleanser, to shave. It's it's a multi-purpose. So I use it for my exfoliating, to shave as well.
So is that you sort of tidying up your neck and cheeks?
Tidy up. He was actually really impressed because the guy, he said, "Do you do your beard yourself when you're?" I said, "Yeah," and I thought he was going to tell me off. Because they normally say something, don't have a little dig.
Yeah, like a mechanic, don't they? They start sucking their teeth, going, "Oh, you don't want to do it like that." Yeah.
So I thought he was going to have a little dig at me, but he said, "No, I've never seen one so straight." And I said, "Well,
there you go.
There you go. It works."
And in terms of hair care, Stuart, do you put something in? Do you have any product in the day?
I do. For what little I have,
Well,
I've got.
same.
It's like, yeah, no, it's thinning. It doesn't bother me. I have to say, it doesn't faze me at all.
Really, because people have different views on this, and whether to sort of try and stop the tide, as it were, and use supplements and pills and
Yeah.
things to put on. But you're comfortable and just sort of.
Well, in all honesty, when I first started, I had long hair when I was
Did you?
younger. Yeah, I'll show you a picture. And when it first started to fall, it was in my mid-20s. Of course, I didn't want it to go, and I was trying everything under the sun, every shampoo that they were recommending, tablets, but nothing really stopped it. You'd get a bit of bum fluff around the front, but that was about it. It wasn't going to stop the hair from falling out. So I just decided to cut it short, and that's how it's been ever since, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't. As I've got older, I really don't care that much.
And I'd
like to hang on to a little bit I have got, but
yeah. Well, and what would you put something on it?
I just used. Oh gosh, I can't remember the shampoo. But I change shampoos all the time because I'm not that. Sam Knight does a nice shampoo, and I use his. But I've also used Aveda. They do a nice scalp remedy one, which is really nice. But yeah, I think and then I use Murdoch, do a clay, and a little bit goes a long way. And if you've got very fine hair, it doesn't clog it. It doesn't make it look. So I use that, and then
the Murdoch products are great. I think
I love Murdoch. Yeah, we used to have Murdoch at Liberty, but
you did, didn't you? In the barbers,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I was a regular at Murdoch's. Yeah, but not anymore, sadly. But too far away now.
Which ones? At some point, didn't they? Didn't they have Ruffians? Is Ruffians still in there?
Ruffians is downstairs. Yeah, that's their new barber.
Got you. And obviously, fragrance is such a love and a passion of yours. It's your work and something you enjoy as well. But how do you? I'm sure if we started talking about which fragrances you love, that's a whole other podcast. But how do you choose? Do you have to? Do you wear fragrance in the morning before work, or do you leave yourself?
It really depends how I wake up being, I think, on the day.
Yeah.
It really depends on who I am on that morning.
Yeah.
And I'm that dictates the fragrance, or even if indeed I am. And sometimes you just don't care, in which case I'll always wear Molecule. I love Molecule 01. It's
me too.
A staple. It has been for many years. But yeah, it really depends on the day. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I get to it, I love playing with the fragrances, and that's when I kind of. But yeah, I have lots at home that I can. I mean, most of the ones I have at home are my special ones that I will wear when I'm going out or out for the day or just at home in general.
So,
really.
Stuart, do you wait till you say you're going to Liberty and you're putting fragrance on? Will you wait until you get to Liberty and spray something on that you find in there, or will you do it at home before you go?
Well, if I'm going to work, generally I wait till I'm there.
Yeah.
And spritz there.
See what mood takes you.
Yeah, it also depends what kind of the shift that I'm on or whatever. If I'm on a late, invariably I'll spray at home. I'll be doing stuff before I get to work. But if I'm just going straight to work, I love to have a little play around and go to the different counters and stuff and decide on who I'm gonna be today.
Who I'm gonna be, yeah.
Who am I going to be today? Yeah.
What fragrant costume shall I wear?
Yeah.
And in terms of all the different fragrances out there, do you find that there's a certain category or style of fragrance that you are drawn towards? Or I guess you've got so much choice there and so many things to try. I guess it's probably quite difficult, isn't it? Are you particularly a amber guy or citrus or just everything?
Yeah, you hit that straight away. Oh, really? Amber is my if you looked at most of my fragrance that I actually possess, there's amber in there somewhere. We're seeing a lot of fragrances anyway, depending on the mix. But amber, woods, I love rich leathers. I'm not really a citrus person. Although I love the idea of citrus, it just doesn't work for me. It either turns very sharp or something. I can have it in top notes and things where it mellows and dries down. But as a rule, I love the deep woody kind of earthy fragrances. But yeah, I do try. I mean, for instance, I tried one recently by New Notes. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, I've seen. Yeah, I haven't smelt them.
Blotted cherry. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yes.
I hope I said that the right way round. But it's a cherry base, and when I read it, I thought that's not me. but I had to try it just to see what it was like. I'd heard so much about cherry seems to be in vogue at the moment.
It is.
So,
it's in lots of fragrances, isn't
it? Tom Ford's done one.
There's a
And
BDK
so I thought,
one. That's
So I tried it, and I have to say I've been addicted ever since.
Really?
Yeah, it's my go-to if I'm going out, and the amount of people that comment on it as well. But no, so you have to to play with things and see where it takes you.
Absolutely. And I think we chatted on message before about because I had Richard E. Grant who came on the podcast. Obviously,
a legend.
And he launched his Jack fragrance with you at Liberty, and
I'm
just thinking about all the celebrities, of course, but brand founders and perfumers. There must have been so many people that have either just come to the store to visit or have come along to talk to the sales associates and train them. Are there particular people that you've really enjoyed meeting through fragrance?
Yeah, I mean, we are very blessed that they do come into store, most of them, and want to meet us and want to see where their baby, I suppose, is going to be,
of course,
and who's going to be looking after it.
Yeah.
So it is. We are very lucky, and that some of them and it's very important for us as well to know where they're coming from, because you can you can spray a fragrance, but until you know the story behind it, or sometimes it just brings it to life for you. Absolutely. When you're selling it, because you'll take bits of that story and you'll tell people, and people love to hear a story and about the person that's behind it. Richard E. Grant, in particular, I have to say, is so passionate about fragrance, because people at first were like, "Oh, another celebrity," and it was like, "Well, no,
it's not like that at all."
No,
it's been such a passion for so long.
Oh my gosh, because he came to us about when he was making the fragrances or the original Jack. And he would come into store, and we would come and meet him in the morning with our buyers, Sarah and Gina, and the fragrance team. And he would talk to us and let us smell the raw.
So as he was developing it.
Yeah. So we had not really much of an input, but he was interested. He wanted to know what people were asking, what people were interested in, what they wanted from a fragrance. And so we had quite a lovely relationship with him. And even when he did his launch, he was the most approachable person. To me, I mean, he's an A-lister to me. I think he's absolutely amazing. He's an icon, but he was up a ladder, hanging buntings and drums. He brought everything in himself, him and his daughter, who's lovely as well, just like him. She's just really a beautiful soul. And they were just, and they had their launch party. And I've been to a few of the launch parties at Liberty, snuck in and had a peek. But we were invited to this one, and I've never seen such genuine A-listers, and across the board, like Hollywood stars, writers, musicians, comedians.
I mean, he's so well connected, isn't he?
Yeah, but lovely. He's just delightful. He was smelling all the flowers around the room, just sniffing everything, and he's just a real amazing man. Yeah. I can't say enough nice things about him.
No, I think he's one of the good ones. And to be honest, I was amazed that he agreed to do my podcast, and he was so genuine and thoughtful and kind to do this, which was amazing. But he seems like fragrance is absolutely a passion for him.
Passion,
not just some kind of little sideline like some people do. Well, what you were saying
just
about
a name sometimes.
And I think a lot of times we can sense when that's going on, that someone's just sort of badged a name on it and they don't really have any input. But I think what you were saying about storytelling, and I suppose from your retail point of view, it's so interesting to me because, of course, you can talk about, some people want to hear about some of the notes and the fragrance family and all those things. But I think quite often some of that language can be off-putting, can't it? So exactly what you were saying, I'm sure if brand founders or perfumers or some of the information that you get, when there's actual narrative and story about the inspirations or what kind of inspired the founders, that must be useful just to kind of to storytell and put some narrative around it. Is that something you find in store?
No, absolutely. I mean, for me, I have a terrible memory, so remembering notes is it becomes a bit blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that the notes always are the most important thing. I mean, yes, sometimes you want to know. Obviously, you want to know what's in there. Sometimes there's something you react to or you don't get on with. But on the whole, I just find notes aren't necessarily necessary.
Yeah,
But it's
and also
a story.
it's such an abstract in terms of course, we have a sense of we know what lemon or bergamot, some of these things are,
Yeah,
but some of them are quite abstract. And then even more so, the idea of what happens when you combine all those things. It is like individual
it's a
ingredients
recipe.
in a cake, yeah, which
Yeah,
doesn't tell you what the cake is going to taste like.
tastes like. Well, no, you can have two fragrances with identical
Yeah,
notes, but it's how that person's put them together. They don't necessarily smell the same.
yeah,
So and we've got quite a few perfumers who don't actually disclose what
yes,
the
which is an
notes.
interesting approach, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I love that. Well, Serge Luton was one of the first, and he
Mm,
basically his philosophy was, I make these fragrances for me. If you love them, that's wonderful. And he's very sparse with what's actually the notes are. He gives a few, but not
yes,
everything. And then, of course, Nakamoto,
yes,
who does Alta Parisian, Nakamoto, he
yes,
never discloses. He tells a story, and some of his stories are quite risque.
yes,
They make me blush, but
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
I can never relay them. I can never tell people. I get too tongue tied. But yeah, he doesn't, because he thinks it, and it's quite true. It affects how people. The minute someone will say, "I had it with a narcotic V," they asked for such and such floral. I said, "This is a beautiful classic." Da, da, da. She loved it, but the minute I said, and we couldn't say what it was, but I said the minute I sort of said, "We believe it has jasmine," because she wanted to know what it
Yeah.
was. We can't say. That was it. She closed. I
That put
hate
her off.
jasmine.
Ah,
Yeah, so it just we have preconceived ideas about what certain things smell like or
of
what
course.
they are, and then it can just put you off. So I think it's a good idea not to tell them.
And it feels to me like, some of those perfumers or brand owners you mentioned, that feels much more artistic. And that's how people approach art, isn't it? I'm doing it for
Mm,
myself. This is something that I feel compelled to create. And if other people like it, then
love
that's a
it.
bonus. But
Yeah,
I suppose that's a different mindset to doing something purely for commercial reasons, or because it's for a
to
certain
appeal
brand
to
or a
the
certain logo.
masses.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think it feels much more genuine, perhaps.
yeah, and special because it's a
Yeah.
little bit of them, kind of. Yeah.
And I obviously in the time that you've been in retail, Stuart, online and selling selling online, and perfume on websites has come along as well. How do you feel about it, being someone that's in a physical retailer? And I think at various times, and maybe during COVID, it's like, oh,
Mm,
it's all changed and everyone's going to be shopping online and all this stuff. But it seems to come in waves. But how do you feel about it? I'm sure you feel like physical retail has a particular place, and I think with fragrance a real advantage. Wouldn't you say?
yeah, I mean, obviously lockdown changed the way we shop
Yeah.
for that period of time, and it was a long process as well. It was a long time before people felt comfortable coming back into store. I personally couldn't wait. It was
Yeah. Me too.
I'm not an
I've
online
missed
shopper.
it.
I never have been. I
Yeah.
love to shop in a store.
Mm.
I love the whole experience. So for me, online shopping was a nightmare. I think I lived and did everything. I just had my basics, and that was it. Really, I didn't
Mm.
feel the need to shop. But yeah, I think, and also because even since people are now working from home a lot, so the customer, we don't have the regulars like we used to coming into
Really?
store.
That's interesting.
But we do have a lot of international customers. But we are, I'd say well, I was saying the other day, I think London is a very different, it's like a different climate, like another entity, isn't it? Like London,
Yeah.
it's almost
Yeah.
separate from the rest of our
Totally. Yeah.
country.
It
But
is.
it's like, I've never known it this busy. I've never known the stores so busy,
Mm.
and people are buying, but it's international primarily, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, people's habits have changed, and I think a lot of people are still shopping online, especially domestic customers. But no, thank heaven for the international
Yeah. And I suppose
people.
now, if somewhere like Liberty has to have a sort of cross-platform approach anyway, there's a great website. There's also the physical store. You can come and collect something you order online in store. So it all seems to work in all the
In our
different ways.
favour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one that Liberty, there is no other place like Liberty. That black and
Mm.
white building is iconic. It's known the world over.
Yeah.
And people want a piece of it. So walking out with that little purple bag is a highlight to a lot of people's day.
Absolutely.
The amount of people that come in just to get that bag.
Well, that's it. And as you
Um,
say, the store itself, is an experience, isn't it? And we're being
Well, there is no
told
other
more and
skill like
more
it.
it's all about now retail has to be about experiential much more
Mm.
than this is the transaction. So yeah, somewhere like Liberty's got a real advantage because it's this iconic building that people know and people want to see. And people, some relatives of mine came down at Christmas time, and we must go to Liberty and
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it's all of that, isn't it? And get some Christmas decorations, and that's a real advantage. It must be.
But it's almost like theatre.
Yeah,
I think people come to
absolutely.
Liberty for theatre.
Yeah.
It's all, we've got some real characters there, and that's some amazing people. And I mean, who wouldn't want to visit that place, especially
Mm.
at Christmas? I mean, Christmas it's in a league of its own, but
Yeah.
it's an icon, and long may she reign.
Yeah, and is it 100 years that the centenary of the building this year? Is that right? Do I have that right?
I think it's 150, isn't it?
Oh, maybe, yeah, probably even longer.
150 years, I think.
Right.
Oh, I should know this.
No,
This is
don't.
terrible.
But there's definitely some. There's definitely some anniversary. I'm sure this year.
I think we've had. I'm sure it was. Oh gosh, well, I can't look at my phone because I'm on it.
No,
I'm being.
don't worry. But talking about things changing and online and social media, and I mentioned at the beginning your Stu Be Blessed Instagram channel. Is that something that's important to you as part of your work, or do you see it as something kind of separate and more your personal thing? But it's such a great channel, and you're always so passionate. And there's the Monday moans, and there's the Fragrant Fridays, and there's lots of great content. I mean, yeah, how do you view your channel and what you do with it?
It's for me, really.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. Originally, you kind of go onto social media and you see all these other great like profiles and people. Like
some
my
people
friends.
are very good at sort of making these beautiful curated pages, aren't they? They're all a certain color, and I never have the time or the
Well, they're selling a
inclination.
lifestyle, aren't they? They're selling
Yeah.
their life basically.
Yeah, true.
And I just think I love that, but I do what I do for me, and some days I can't be bothered, or and some days I can. Some days I'm more bothered than others, and I can go for a whole week of not really bothering at all. And that suits me. And then when I do want to do it, it's because I want to, and I think that's, for me, that's important. I'm not making a living out of it, or I don't have that many followers. And I find that, I don't know, you probably don't, but I find that as many as you get, they will unfollow you a week later. So I can't get into that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the people that do follow me, I absolutely adore. I'm very blessed. I almost feel like I know them because we message.
It is a lovely community, isn't it? And I suppose, like our experience of chatting on social media, and then are coming into store and sort of feeling like I knew you a little bit, and it can turn into real life interactions, which is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
And fragrance,
I get my
people who like fragrances
taken with people. But no, I love it. I enjoy it for me, if that makes sense.
Totally.
It's never going to be me making a living out of it, or no.
Yeah, and I think also it might be different if there's certain content creators or influencers who do stuff around style and clothing or holidays and all that. I can see how you might be able to make money out of saying, hey, I've taken on this trip, or this is my outfit of the day. But I think with fragrance, it's a bit tricky, because as soon as if you're doing content where someone's paid you to say you like a certain fragrance, it's so subjective, isn't it? I would never feel comfortable. Like I'll recommend fragrances that I love, or maybe some PRs have sent, and I will always say, look, this has been sent to me. But I don't want to get into a thing where I'm being paid to say I like a certain fragrance. It just feels like a bad road for me.
No, really, I completely agree. And it's the same. I only talk about things that I wear or that I love. And why would I talk about anything else? It's like someone messaged me when I first was doing it, and they said, you really just need to concentrate on one thing. I said, but that's not my life. It's not, why would I do that?
I'm multifaceted.
Yeah.
I'm
they
a
said,
real
you'll get
life
lots
person.
of followers if you just do perfume. And I said, well, it's a part of my life, but it's not, I want to post about everything. So it is what it is, but I enjoy doing it. So that's
more power to you. And in terms of things in store at the moment, and you have access to this incredible range of fragrances and products, are there things this year, we're in early 2025, are there some new brands or some new fragrances that have got you excited in the new year, Stuart?
Well, we haven't heard much about what we've got coming in yet. Usually February we start to, when
Is
it's all
it changeover?
finalised.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's when it, we start seeing some newness.
Right.
I'm always excited to see something new.
Mm.
It just gives you, a little pep up, doesn't it? But it's,
It does.
I mean, a lot of the brands that we have got some newness coming in. We're kind of revamping certain brands as well. But yeah, at the moment, I mean, January is always a little bit flat. So the shelves are quite bare.
Right. After the sales and everything.
Well, everything, yeah. And also people have been, places have been, factories and everything been closed over Christmas, so we're on catch up. But yeah, so
it's funny. I never thought about I don't think as much about the sort of the timetable of it, but that makes total sense. I not being in retail, I didn't understand when new things come in, but that's interesting that you'll do the sale, wait till people have got a bit more money, I suppose, and new products come through.
February, when the newness starts to arrive, and some new brands and existing brands start to add their new collections as well. So it's always exciting, yeah.
There's a brand that you have at Liberty, which I've featured Jan, one of the founders. You have that BB Parfum. I love it. I think you've talked about Ghost of Tom. Is that which one's that? I can't.
Boy of June.
Boy of June is lovely too.
Because I'm a boy of June.
I love that one. It's because it's got a little smokiness to it, and I hope it wasn't offensive. I kind of mentioned. I said it's almost like, you've had a jacket that someone's been smoking. It's that really throwback kind of nostalgia, like you've been in a club. It's because it's got that citrus to it, but it's got that kind of grown-up, sexy smokiness, hasn't it? I love it.
Yeah, I mean, they're so complex and they're so... Yeah. It's a really interesting brand. And, of course, you know that he was the original creator of Wilhelm.
Yes, Jan Wilhelm, yeah.
Yeah, so he was the original...
Yeah,
and I just
he's been on the podcast
too. His wife. But yeah, it's...
Yes.
They're just a fascinating couple.
They're beautiful. They're ridiculously beautiful as well.
I know, isn't it annoying?
He's like 6'5" ex-model. She's gorgeous Scandinavian. Yeah, I've said to people before, and I've met him a few times. Love him, and Stina, and Jan came on the podcast, and we filmed it in London with the PR agency. And there's this picture of me and Jan Wilhelm, who was delightful, like really funny, loved Faulty Towers, quite quirky, sort of British sense of humor.
Yeah.
There's a picture of me and him, and I just looked like a competition winner at a meet and greet or something. I mean, just like a foot smaller than him, going, it's awful, but this beautiful man who is so charming. And he took me aside and he gave me a little vial of, he said, Hayden, I'd love to know, this is something new that we're working on for next year. I'd love, text me. I'd love to know what you think. And it made me feel so special. But he's a really, really lovely guy.
They are.
They're nice, aren't they?
Well, when before they actually launched at Liberty, they came in to talk to us about the brand and the ethos behind it, because obviously it's quite specific. It's her
meditative state, isn't it?
Yeah. And we were all a little bit skeptical. You sit there. All right, come on then. But I tell you, within a minute of her speaking, we were hooked. We were all there. Yeah. I want that product. And we were, but it was funny because they, obviously in their own language, they were chatting. One of them had said something, but you could tell it was a bicker. It was kind of this married couple. And I said, now. I said, whatever language, we know a bicker when we sit, when we. They were just brilliant.
Another good one. I had which was great in the summer, is that swimming pool. Did you try that one?
I love for the summer. That's eucalyptus mint. Yes. Oh my gosh,
so refreshing
in a hot country.
Being by a sort of beautiful swim pool in the countryside.
Yeah,
fabulous.
I know. I love the brand.
It is, and
good things.
And it looks beautiful, and there's a real design aesthetic to it as well. That sort of electric blue.
Blue, yeah, that's beautiful.
Now, Stuart, the name of the podcast is Man in the Mirror. So I love to find out about, we're probably of a similar vintage, I might say, but how do you feel about, when you're getting ready and you're looking in the mirror, how do you feel about what looks back?
Well, I've thought it because you gave me the question. I was thinking,
I did.
And I feel fine, to be fair. There's,
Good.
I'm happy with what I see
As
in
you
the
should,
mirror.
as you should be.
You know, and when you look in the mirror and you see your face, obviously as it is now, that's me. That's my life on this face.
Yes.
The trials, the tribulations, the fun, the not so fun times. It's there. But there's still a glimmer. There's still a little sparkle of the person, that young party animal boy from 30 years ago.
From
He's
old
still
Woking.
there. Yeah, he's still there. And
Yeah.
no, I'm happy. I don't look in the mirror and feel a sense of dread. I mean, obviously, sometimes you wish, your face sinks. You wish you were a little bit on the other side. But no, I'm totally happy with
Well,
what
I'm
I see.
pleased to hear that. I'm really pleased to hear that because, yeah, I think what I get from you when I see you and your channel is that fun and joy and confidence, and I think that emanates from you, doesn't it, and from inside, and that's the
Well, it
energy
is.
that you give off.
Well, there's a great truth in that old saying, isn't there? The beauty and the good things come from within,
Yeah.
and they shine out. It's just you have to be happy with who you are. We're not always happy, but you have to be on the
No,
whole happy with who you are.
and I think, I don't know about you, but I feel like the older I get, and there's a simple truism to that, but I'm working that out more and more the older I get, that there's so many things in our lives that we should be grateful for, and not all your dreams that you had when you were 20 necessarily go the way you think, but also that thing of being grateful for the good things in your life and family and work and all those things, and that it's you get through life much better if you take happiness with you, and that you kind of
No,
enjoy what you've got,
exactly.
rather than that idea of, oh, I'm always striving for something else, and the dissatisfaction. I don't think it does you a lot of good. And maybe
I think
that's
if
too
you
simplistic, but I'm working that out, I think.
well, I just think if you're too busy striving for something else, you're not enjoying what's happening right now. You're not taking on that moment or enjoying it.
Exactly.
And life is too short
It
to
is.
do that, I think, or to worry too much about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is I want to be when I grow up. So you're not
a retail survivor, Stuart.
a retail survivor. Yeah.
But also that the more, I suppose, again coming back to this social media thing, and me and my wife having a 16-year-old son, I'm very conscious of the more time you spend on social media. It's not just the striving, but it's also thinking you want someone else's life, but that never, it's endless, isn't it? Like, even if you have got millions and millions, that those people think, oh, I want to be a billionaire. Like, it never ends. So at some point you want to be
you have to
happy
stop
with
what you've got.
who you are,
Yeah.
and what you've got, I suppose. Stuart,
Because there is a great truth: money doesn't buy happiness.
Yes.
I mean, it may buy you lovely things
Yeah.
and give you a nice lifestyle, but it doesn't make you happy. It's not.
No, and it's true. And I think, again, the more we see of relationships, whether it's our own or friends or people close to us, you can see that, can't you? There's people that there's definitely friends of mine that have done better than I'm doing, but I wouldn't swap places, I don't think, because people have got their own stuff going on, haven't they?
Well, I think most people, when people they have to maintain that, and they have to concentrate on actually keeping that.
Yeah.
So it's kind
keeping
of
up the lifestyle.
Yeah, and my grandmother always told me that she said, never hold on to money. She said you must always put it back out there and let it go, because it will always come back. I mean, I'm still waiting for it to come back, but
any day
I
now.
never hold on to it.
Any day now.
I love having things, so I'm always. I never deny myself that.
No, well, I think I can see on from your background, but also on your channel, you love beautiful things and interiors, and you've got a design eye, haven't you? I think.
I love my home. Because people say, "Oh, would you ever go down the road of interior design?" No, I couldn't do somebody else's house. So I'm quite happy pottering around in my own and my little antiques and stuff like that. But I couldn't do it. But yeah, I think it's important to surround yourself with the things you love and have nice things. However much they cost or don't cost, it doesn't matter. If they make you happy, what harm does it do?
Exactly.
I mean, like this big cat stand you see beside you.
That's quite a
Always
thing.
measure before you purchase online.
Looks like it's going to start sort of extending up out of the ceiling.
It's taller
God.
than me. It's huge. Yeah.
Some pampered cats there, Stuart.
They are.
Well, finally, maybe this is the thing that brings you happiness. But yeah, I like to find out about the things that bring you joy and happiness, perhaps outside of the workplace. And what might they be for you, Stuart?
My friends.
Yeah.
And I'm married to Simon, and he has a daughter, Imogen. And
right.
having that, I never thought I would ever have that dynamic in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they call me the wicked stepmother, which I try and
like that?
I try and live up to. But it's but yeah, so having that.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Yeah, like you say, maybe perhaps you might have thought that that sort of family unit
would never be
case.
Something that I would have ever. I never. To be fair, when I was young, I never dreamt I'd actually get married because in those days you couldn't. But it's the world has changed.
How long have you been married, Stuart?
Oh God, put me on the spot there.
Roughly.
I think this is our 6th year. Right. 6 year married. And how many have we been together? We haven't been together a lot more, but yeah, 6 years married. So, yeah. I hope I got that right. I have a terrible memory.
We can do some fact checking. So yeah, so family, family is important to you, and being home and things in that.
Yeah, and friends. I think as well as you, as time goes on, you make your own family as well. You make your own family unit, and I'm blessed to have a lot of very close, and my work family as well. I'm very blessed to have amazing group of people that I work with, and I do consider them family.
Yeah. And does that group stay quite consistent, Stuart? Have people been there a long time?
In our area, myself and Bev have been together longer than most marriages, 25 years. We've known each other. And there was Jerry Gervasio. I knew him even before he worked in the fragrance room, but I love him. He's amazing. Mavche, B, Judy, and now we've got Rachel, who's just joined us. And sadly, we lost Ruth. I don't know if Ruth Myers, who used to work in.
I've probably seen her. Yeah, I don't know the name.
Yeah, she passed away the other day. Killed in a car accident. Yeah, and we've known her for a long, long time, over 20 odd years. So,
oh no.
Yeah, but yeah, we're very close. We're very, as I say, we're like family.
Yeah.
We've been there through everything. They were all at my wedding. It's, yeah.
Amazing. Well, Stuart, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
A pleasure.
I hope it was okay.
It was amazing. It was great to find out a bit more about you and the work you do. And I want to thank you for the joy you bring. And if people are ever in the centre of London, then Liberty is absolutely the store to visit. It's got an incredible curated range of fragrances, and it's just a beautiful store to spend a few hours and while away your time. And make sure you go and see Stuart in the Fragrance Boudoir. And I'm going to mention some of the products that Stuart talked about in the program notes. But I want to thank you for your time this morning, Stuart.
You're very welcome.
I'll come and see you in store very soon.
Do.
I'll see
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.